Hello, everyone. Tonight we're going to travel across cold waters, where the waves speak older languages, and the wind still remembers names long forgotten. There's a place where the light has never stayed lit for long, not because the fuel ran dry or the glass shattered in storm, but because something underneath doesn't want the light to shine. You would never want to live in that time period, when men were sent alone to sea-battered towers, armed only with kerosene and courage, and left to listen to the walls. You're standing on the coast of Brittany. Behind you, the land is green and quiet. Ahead, only cold grey sea, crashing against black stone. You've heard the stories. So has everyone. They say Tévennec is a cursed lighthouse. They say men go there and don't come back right. The boat is late. You've been waiting hours, watching the mist crawl along the water. And when the small ferry finally arrives, the old man rowing doesn't meet your eyes. He tells you it will be a short crossing. He tells you not to speak while you're on the island. Let it forget you're there, he says. You don't ask what that means. The lighthouse appears before you like a tooth in the ocean sharp, white, stubborn. No birds circle. No waves climb its base. The sea seems to part for it, then retreat in silence. A breathless stillness clings to it. Like a place between worlds, you step ashore. The keeper's quarters are narrow, stone-built, and full of damp air. The fireplace doesn't warm the room, no matter how long it burns. There's a logbook in the desk drawer. You weren't told there'd been another keeper before you, but there was. His name, Henry Gezennik. His entries start like any man's. Weather routine, supply counts, loneliness then. On day 6, something moves above the lens. I checked. Nothing there, but I heard it. Day 9. Heard crying from the well outside. There is no well. Day 13. The voice calls my name now. Day 14. She sings below the sea. Nothing after that. Just blank pages. There's no record of him leaving. And yet, here you are. The wind never stops on Tévennec. But you notice something strange. Every night, at the same hour, somewhere between sleep and waking, the wind dies, and in its place, silence. Not the good kind, not peace, but listening silence. The kind that feels like the room is holding its breath, waiting. You find yourself whispering when you speak, even to yourself, just in case. On your 3rd night, something knocks not at the door, beneath the floor, 3 times. Slow, deliberate, you check. There's nothing beneath you but stone, no cellar, no crawl space, just granite. Still, the knocking comes again the next night, and again, and again. Always 3 knocks, always from below. You try not to think about Henry's last entry. The villagers called Tévennec A.R. Rock H. Door. The blind rock. You learn this from a letter, smuggled in your next supply crate. No return name. Just a scrap of paper tucked betweet. Don't listen too long. It will sound like your mother's voice. That's when it's strongest. Crumple the note and burn it but you can't forget it, because that night you do hear your mother's voice calling your name. From inside the fog, the lamp in the tower flickers. You've cleaned it, fueled it, serviced it daily, but it resists light now, like the tower is choking it. You climb the stairs anyway, up past the cold stone spirals, past the cracked windows, to the top, and there, in the lantern room, you find something new. Scratches on the glass. 3 lines, vertical, deep. Not from weather, not from tool. You run your fingers over them. They feel warm and far below. The sea hums softly, like something singing to itself. You wake to a sound you can't place. It isn't the wind, not the waves either. It's lower, a kind of croaking chant, almost mechanical, like a prayer ground into stone and played back in reverse. You don't open your eyes at first, because something in you knows it's still dark. Not just outside, but inside. The kind of dark where even sound gets lost. You lie there, breathing quietly. The sound continues beneath the floorboards, and then, all at once, it stops, not fades. Stops not like someone cut a string. You sit up. The lamp beside you burned out. The window fogged from the inside. And outside, the sea has gone still again. You rise slowly, and as your boots touch the stone floor, you feel it warm, just like the medallion, just like the marks on the lantern glass. The rock is never warm. Not here, not in February. Something else is moving through the tower. You reach for Henry's logbook. You return to the last page. Again, she sings below the sea. This time, you lift the back cover. A slip of vellum falls out. Folded dot inside. A hand-drawn map of the island. But there's something unusual. Henry has marked an X, not on the tower, not on the supply house, but on the far side of the island. Cliffs no one is supposed to visit. It's labeled the sealed place. You know what you'll do next. You wait until morning. The path is steep, slick with moss and sea mist, but it leads to a jagged ridge overlooking the Atlantic. No trees, no birds, just wind and rock. You find the hollow carved into the cliffside. Opening is barely wider than your shoulders. You squeeze through, dragging the lantern behind you. Inside, the cave stinks of salt and decay. At the back, you find a stone wall stacked and sealed, old, too old for the lighthouse. Etched into the center is a symbol, 3 vertical lines, just like those on the glass, and beneath that, written in faint red pigment, Dalkatan, Earser, Earkant, Aglev, hold the wave shut. The 100 are listening. You run your hand over the stone, and again it feels warm, like something behind it is alive. You stay only minutes, but when you return to the lighthouse, the sun has set, and your pocket watch broken. Inside the tower, the air feels heavier, the silence deeper. The supply room has shifted, not moved, but different, docked. The clock on the wall ticks too fast, and every mirror now shows something slightly off. In one. You have no face in another. Your reflection turns after you do. You write in your own log now, but the ink smudges strangely like the paper. Bead self is wet, though your hands are dry. Your pen moves more quickly than you intend, and when you blink, sometimes entire sentences appear on the page that you don't remember writing. Like this one, the priest screamed once, but that was all. You don't remember ever reading that, but it's there, in your handwriting. You lie awake that night, and again, the knocking comes. 3 slow. This time, not from below, from above. In the lantern room, you rise, climb. The stairs feel longer tonight. You reach the final step and peer into the glass. Chamber, it's empty, but written in condensation across the lens. Scrawled in jagged Breton, you are keeper number 13. You light the lantern. The flame is faint, bluish, unsteady, but it holds. As you descend, the tower seems to whisper. Not words, just breath, moving with you, matching your steps. You try not to listen, but in the silence, it's impossible not to, because now the breath isn't behind you, it's inside you, matching your heartbeat. The next morning, there's a boat in the distance, not the supply ship, smaller, older, painted black, with no visible crew. You watch it for an hour. It doesn't come closer, just drifts like it's waiting. And for the first time, you wonder, how did Henry leave? His entries ended, but no one said they found his body or the boat. And suddenly the ocean doesn't feel like water anymore. It feels like a ceiling, and you are beneath it. You don't sleep the next night, not because you're afraid, though you are, but because you start hearing footsteps that aren't yours. Always when you're on the lower floor, you stand still, holding your breath, and above you, a quiet shuffle across the lantern room floor. One step, then another, not pacing, not waiting. You begin digging into old records. The Lighthouse has a keeper's registry, going back to its opening in 1875. It was meant to be a one-man post, but the entries tell a different story. The first keeper, Henry Tévennec, lasted 2 weeks. The second, no name, only initials, lasted 5 days. From then on, names come and go quickly, some crossed out, some replaced with notes like refused to return, found unresponsive, departed in silence. By 1885, the pattern is clear. No man stays more than a few weeks, and those who leave are never quite right again. One letter, tucked between 2 torn pages, reads, "He talks to the wall now, says it answers in the voice of our daughter." Another reads, "Woke up last night and found him staring at the mirror. He said it had smiled back. You find an old iron key taped behind a drawer. It doesn't match any door in the tower until you try it on the trapdoor beneath the spiral stair. It unlocks with a shriek of rusted hinges. Below, darkness, not blackness, a deep grey-blue kind of dark, like being underwater. You descend slowly. The stairs aren't stone anymore. They're iron and wet. They spiral tighter and tighter until you reach a circular room. It's not listed on any diagram. There's a pool in the center, shallow, stagnant. You shine your lantern down into the water. It doesn't reflect. Instead, you see faces, not yours, and not just one dot, dozens dot pale, floating just beneath the surface, staring up at you, eyes open, mouths closed. You stumble back. Your boot slips on something, not stone. Salt. A perfect ring of salt circles the pool, broken only in one place, a small mark, like something stepped across it. Whatever this place is, someone or something entered it. The next morning, your boots are soaked with seawater, but the ocean hasn't risen. There was no storm. You check the barometer, it hasn't moved in 2 days. You check the tide, mark hasn't changed still. Your floorboards creak with wet steps. You follow them to the window. Outside, there's nothing, except for 3 stones arranged in a triangle. They weren't there yesterday. You blink. Now there are 4. You remember the scratches on the lantern. Glass, 3 vertical lines. You find them again, but they've deepened. You run your finger along one. Your skin tingles, not like pain, like memory, something old trying to wake up. You light the lamp that night and sit beneath it, reading, waiting. But then the flame sputters and the room drops into darkness. Not all, but once, layer by layer, as if the shadows are being peeled off the walls. And in that moment, the tower changes. You see it not as it is, but as it was. Stone altar where the desk is, an iron hook from the ceiling, symbols etched into the walls, glowing voices chanting low, without mouths. You blink again. The tower is normal, but your book has moved 3 inches to the left. You didn't touch it. At 3:06 a.m., something whispers in the chimney. Not words, but breath, wet and clicking. You build a fire. The whisper stops, but so does the draft, and the smoke goes nowhere. You write again in your log, but this time the ink comes out red. You check the bottle, it's black. You try again. It turns red when it touches the page, then vanishes entirely. And when you try to close the book, it won't shut. Pages keep unfolding, flipping past your hand, as if the book is remembering more than you wrote. You open your drawer to find it filled with salt. You didn't put it there. You taste it, not sea salt, bitter, almost metallic. You try to throw it out the next night. It's back, and heavier. The final entry in Henry's book, you now believe, was not metaphor. She sings below the sea. You hear the song now to dot, only at night, only when the tide is out. A low humming beneath your dreams. Rising from the floor, you cover your ears. It still gets through, because it's not heard, it's remembered. And the longer you stay, the more you remember it too. You wake up in the chair by the fireplace. You don't remember falling asleep there. The fire has gone out. The coals are still warm, but untouched by air. No wind, no draft. The chimney, silent again. You look at the logs stacked neatly beside you only. Now they're wet, as if someone pulled them from the sea. and placed them there while you slept. You don't speak aloud anymore, not even to yourself, because you realize when you talk, the tower listens, and sometimes it responds. Not with words, with movement, a creak, a footstep, a door closing softly somewhere above. Last night, the mirror fogged on its own. This morning, there's a handprint on it, too small to be yours. Fingers too long, and it's on the inside. You try to write letters to the mainland, to your old captain, to anyone, but the ink bleeds off the page before it dries, and the envelopes always go missing. You've stopped finding food in the crates, but you've stopped feeling hungry. To at the base of the lighthouse, you find something strange, a hole in the rock, narrow, twisting. You wedge yourself through it, lantern held high, inside, a tunnel part, natural part carved, deep beneath the tower. The walls glisten with salt, not white, black, crystalline, like obsidian. At the end of the tunnel is a door, iron, ancient, marked with 3 lines. Again, you touch the handle. It's cold enough to sting your skin, but you turn it, and the door swings open silently. Inside, a chamber, perfectly round, carved from living rock. A single chair in the center, facing a wall. Behind it, a figure, still, cloaked, head bowed. You step forward, whispering a greeting. No reply. You place your hand on the figure's shoulder. It crumbles, not like a corpse. Like ash, the robe falls to the ground in a heap inside it. Something glitters faintly. A cross, worn, twisted. You recognize the emblem. Jesuit. This must be the priest. You bring the cross back to the lighthouse. You try to place it on the desk, but your hand locks up. It's like your fingers won't obey. The cross trembles in your grip and burns. Cold, so cold, it steams in the air. You drop it, it hits the floor, and rolls in a perfect circle around your boots. Once, twice, then stops, pointing at the lantern stairs. That night, you climb again. Your lantern flickers. The sea outside the glass is unnaturally still. Not a ripple, not a bird, not even wind. You stare out at the horizon and realize it's not moving. Not the tide, not the clouds. The world has stopped, and behind you, the mirror in the lantern room begins to fog. You didn't bring a mirror. You step toward it. There's a reflection inside, but it's not yours. It's someone seated, head bowed, hands folded, just like the priest in the chamber. You blink. The chair in the room is empty, but the reflection remains. You descend quickly. The stairwell narrows somehow. The stone pulses underfoot. You hear breathing, but it's not yours. Shallow, rhythmic like waves crashing far away. But inside the walls, you try to light the fire again. The logs hiss, but won't catch. You open the shutters to vent the smoke, and there, on the beach below, footprints, leading from the waves, to the tower, but none leaving. You didn't hear a boat. You didn't hear footsteps, just silence. The footprints stop at your door. You go back to the priest's cross. Now it's gone. The circle of salt you placed earlier around the logbook. Disturbed, 3 long scrapes trail through it, like claws. The next supply crate arrives. Inside, only a bottle, corked, labeled in red wax. You open it. Inside, water, you taste it. Not sea, not fresh, but familiar, like tears. You hold the bottle to the light. Something's floating in it, a scrap of paper. You use tweezers to pull it free, unfold it in the same spidery handwriting from the last letter. It reads, "If you light the lamp again, it will see you." You drop the note, because outside, the lantern which you didn't relight flares on dot, bright blue dot, burning dot, and then flickers once dot, twice, and goes out. You hear it again, the same song, dot, low, under the waves, but this time it's closer, and you notes coming up the stairs, dot. The steps are slow, dot, deliberate, dot, one at a time, just beyond the edge of your hearing, like the sound only exists inside your bones. You stand at the foot of the stairwell, holding your lantern, though the flame offers no warmth. It sputters once, then steadies, and then the sound stops. Whatever it was has stopped climbing down. It waits. So do you. Neither of you moves until a drip of salt water lands on your cheek. From above you look up. Nothing, only the smooth curve, bare of stone, and the dark mouth of the lantern room far above. You climb, step by cautious step. Your breathing is too loud in your ears, so you hold it. Each footfall is softer than the last dot, until the very walls seem to hush themselves in your presence at the top. The lantern room is cold, but not empty, because for the first time the mirror shows your reflection clearly. But you're not alone in it. Behind your mirrored self stands a figure, no face, just a shape, draped in wet cloth, with seaweed clinging to its sleeves. You spin around, nothing. You look back, the mirror is empty and cracked. The lamp is dark, but the wick is dry. You didn't extinguish it, and yet here it sits snuffed out, coiled like a serpent's tongue, pointing east. You see it then, out on the water, a small rowboat, rocking gently, facing the tower. You blink. It's gone. You descend to the base and go outside. The wind has returned, but only in brief gusts, like the breath of something waking slowly. You walk to the stone ring where the 3 lines were etched. Now there are 5, 2 more carved in the night, and at their center something pulses, a heartbeat in the stone. You press your hand to it, and the world falls. Away you wake in the hidden chamber. But this time the priest's robe is folded neatly in the chair, and there is a book resting atop it, bound in leather, wrapped in cord, stained with something dark. You open it. Inside, a list of names, dates, assignments, it's a registry, but not of Lighthouse. Keepers of watchers, overseers of a light that must never be extinguished, not to warn ships, but to contain. Something older at the bottom of the page. Your name has been added, written in red dot, and beside it, Keeper of the Seal. You stumble out, breath tight in your chest. The sky is wrong. The clouds move too fast. The moon blinks in command, and out like an eyelid fluttering open, and the sea is receding. You recognize the pattern, like it's preparing to reveal something, not to. U.2. Whatever waits below .u. Run back into the tower. You try to write, warn someone, but your hands shake too much. The pen won't move. The ink bubbles in the bottle. You grab the bell, once used to signal shipsand. Ring it once, twice. It lets out a hollow tone, and then cracks clean down the middle. No one's coming. Not anymore. You light the lamp one final time. It flares blue, then white, then red. The lens glows with an otherworldly sheen, and the scratches on the glass begin to move. Not melt, move, sliding around the lens like the arms of a clock, turning inward, pointing downward. You back away, but your body won't obey. Your hands grip the railing, and the tower breathes again. You hear the whisper once more, only this time it's not in your head, it's in your mouth. The chant flows from your lips without your consent. Old words forgotten, syllables, and below the island, the sea answers. A ripple, a roar, a voice that never learnt to scream, only sing in sorrow. You descend the tower, barefoot now. You don't remember removing your boots. The lighthouse steps feel warm, then hot, then boiling. But you don't stop, because now you understand. The light was never meant to guide ships. It was meant to blind something. Something below. Something watching, waiting. You return to the stone circle. The 5 marks are complete. The salt ring has vanished. The heartbeat in the rock has stopped. And for a moment, everything is still. You whisper, it's sealed. But your voice is not your own. It echoes through the island like a command. And somewhere in the cliffs, a cry resides not of pain, but of relief. You have completed what others could not. You look toward the horizon. The sun is rising. The light returns, but only for now, because someday another will come. Another name will be written in red. Another keeper will be chosen. You return to the tower. Leave. The robe neatly folded. The book placed beside it. And then you sit still, silent, a whisper in waiting for the next fairy that will never come. Now close your eyes. Let the whispers fade and drift into sleep. Asterisk, thanks for staying with me. Until next time, good night.